Okay. Okay, so there's something new with YouTube. When I start the streaming, it instantly fires up the stream. Um, okay. I guess we'll just okay. So that's noted now. I guess we should just start. And if if anyone who's watching this live is a little bit late or actually arriving at the correct time, I'm sorry about that. It would be kind of weird to. Well, maybe we can wait a few minutes, and then people can just skip it later. So if you are watching a recording of this, just skip a few minutes ahead, and we'll start in like 4 minutes. And I'll make sure I won't start streaming until the correct time. It's weird that they changed this because previously you could like start the stream locally and then you could check if everything was okay in YouTube Studio, and then you would actively like start the stream inside YouTube Studio. Yeah, maybe there's something I'm missing. But yeah, I don't know if is there anything we can look at in the meantime. I guess not. Yeah, I think we'll just wait. Bum 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 bum. Anything happening on Twitter? Yeah, by the way, yeah, I wanted a way to, yeah, maybe we can check that. OBS YouTube comments, because I don't have like the comments now. I guess I'll have to jump over. Well, I'm getting my new power supply today and I'm going to use the iPad again, but instead of using Wi-Fi, I'm going to use a cable and then I'll have a second screen. Yes, so we'll fix that. Cool, just a couple more minutes. I wish I had like a joke I could tell, but that's kind of a lost thing. I think with our generation, I have an older brother. He's like 11 years older than me, and I've been to a couple of get-togethers with him and his friends, because they kind of remember me when I was like just a little kid, and they're like almost a different generation. They tell each other stories and joke around a lot more than I do with my friends. With my friends, it's more like in the moment kind of joking. It's not like one person stands up and then tells a story about something, but they do that. And I think maybe it's just coincidence that people still do this, but I'm just not part of that culture. But it's a lost art if that's the case, that it's kind of getting lost on us. I was even at a wedding once, and like in Norway, it's not lost in the north of Norway. So people from the north, they still tell stories. I was at this wedding. There were like over 100 people there. And this friend of the groom just stands up and tells this story about them fishing. And it wasn't like he wasn't like funny all the time. It was just like a really good story, and I was insanely surprised how he was able to convey that story. Okay, cool. I guess we're live now. Sorry, I started the stream. YouTube has done something new. I like when I start to stream locally, it instantly starts sending it on YouTube, which didn't happen before. But anyways, okay, so I'm feeling a lot better today. I think it's because I went through my presentation a couple of times, and then I'm kind of, okay, I have control on this, so that's good. I released a new version of Overmind yesterday, and I made some last minute changes to the State Machines API, and maybe we could talk about that first. Yes, let's just update, and then we're going to talk about that first. I guess we can do this overmind. Because there is this balance. Like the reason I'm putting state charts and state machines into Overmind is because I want to make them like usable, practical, something that is a low threshold to improve your code. But state machines, and especially state charts, are these really complex concepts that it's a high threshold to start using them. So, and the initial implementation of state machines was very by specification instead of based on usage. But we've been using the state machines a lot now. So I decided to remove a couple of features so that I could change the API a little bit. And we actually did talk about this, but at that time I said, no, we can't do this. But the main reason, let's have a code example here. So let's look at auth. We should be getting like some, I don't know if this is the, let's see. No, the typing hasn't updated. Okay, let's refresh to ensure that we have the correct typing. Let's see. Maybe we'll find a bug here. I didn't actually test it. Like I have tests locally, but yeah. So let's see. Are we getting our typing here? Oh, don't say there's an issue with the typing endpoint again. That's so annoying. Because we have our typing for, god damn it. It's so annoying. We have this, we have our own service, a Codesandbox, which grabs the typing. But sometimes it just fails, which is extremely confusing. Let's see. No, that's something else. Where is it trying to grab the overmind? Sorry, we're back into, yeah, look at this. Response, command failed. Oh, okay. We're out of space again. I'll have to write this to Evis. Oh, that's a friend of mine. Let's see. I'm kind of. Let's see. You're kind of into our Slack now. I don't think it was anything secret there. Yeah, I'll bring this up with Evis later, but shit, this kind of breaks everything for us. Cool, but this is really good because now it's kind of everything's kind of broken now. So we can't actually make our change, and the reason this fails is because the server is out of space, so it's not able to write the new typings. And this is what happened last time as well. And then we cleaned it up, and we had a discussion, but now it happened again. So now we actually have to do something about this. But it's nice that I experienced this because I have the power to actually fix it. But what are we going to do here? What are we going to do to fix this? Like, we can't do anything here without the typing. Like, Yes, so that's fun. Let me think. Yeah, because there's like no reason to play around with this when we got all these errors. Is there anything else we can do? Maybe we can go through the non-blocking. We can do that instead. Go through the non-blocking JSON thing that was part of the release. Anyways, I can tell you about the changes I made, at least. Let's see, state machines. Okay, so as I said, the point of state machines is to give this like very simple step into making your code more predictable, and also related to typing. Like we have this huge problem in Codesandbox where we constantly have to check if the state is actually there, because the state is populated over time, and then you have these actions which has no idea which state the app is in. So we have to, for example, we have a state called current sandbox, and we constantly have to check. If we don't have current sandbox, don't do anything. And basically what we would like to do is to just, if the state matches loaded or something, then we will get all the proper typing for that state. So that's like the core thing. But what I noticed is we had this other issue as well, which is what we can see here. So when I transition, suddenly I have to use this argument to get the proper typing. Like technically you don't have to, you can still use state.auth, but because of the typing, we have to do that. And that's like, it's messy because it's only there because of typing. So nobody else uses it. Like for normal JavaScript, and then you kind of have to know about that little quirk, and you have to remember it when you write the code and stuff. It's not ideal at all. So what I decided to do, and this fits just fine in with the way we write our code, I think, or we'll need to let me go through the documentation first. So the way this works now, instead of giving the callbacks and stuff, we're rather transitioning by saying if state.transition authenticating, which means if it was successful, then do this stuff. And the point is that when we do this, it also does the type change. So now it understands that whatever's inside this if is now typed to authenticating. So it's much smoother, and we don't have to return anything. It just looks a lot smoother. Like the threshold for understanding this is way lower than what it was before. And basically we do the same. And we also have the same mutation detection logic, meaning that, for example, here I'm doing grabbing the user, which means that I should not be able to do any mutations after this because it's async and we have no idea which state we're in. But if you are to do a state.transition again, or you are to do a state.matches, the Overmind will unlock the ability to mutate again, and then you can do that. And then if you do something async again, it locks it up again. So that's really, really nice. Because that's super, super important, or kind of the state machines wouldn't work. But yeah, I think this is way, way cleaner. Oh shit, did I forget to change this one? Log out. But we can change that together. Gitbook. Yes, and then we have the matches API. It currently had you can pass in multiple states, so it would work as like an OR thing. But it looked really weird, like authenticated, unauthenticated, whatever. So it's much better to do like state matches authenticated or state matches. It's way more explicit because you have like the OR operator, or what it's called. And then I actually removed exit and I removed reset. And the reason I removed reset is because it was really related to exit. And the reason, that was the difficult choice. Okay, should I remove exit? But exit is the thing that creates all the other complexity. And typically you don't need exit. But we do use it here. You can see we're doing a transition to authenticated. We do this. And then whenever we move away from authenticated, we run this other logic here. But and it's really nice to have this general way of doing it. The problem with this is that inside an action, you are kind of setting up some logic that will run after the action has executed, which is really weird. You don't do that anywhere in Overmind currently. So we are going to try to solve this in a different way and see if we can find a pattern for this kind of logic that works better. And if we can't find that, there are other ways to do this. We can treat it more like an event, so that when the app initializes, or for example, when auth initializes, we can set up a listener to the state machine. So whenever it moves to a specific transition, we want to run some logic. And then it's like an event. So in onInitialize, you kind of point to state.auth.onTransition or onExit, authenticated, fire this action. And then you will see it much better in the dev tools, what is happening. And so that's kind of like my fallback thing. But I want to explore how we can deal with this exit in a different way, because as I said, it introduces so much complexity. Yes. Okay, let's fix this documentation error. I was a little bit fast. Overmind. Okay, we're on state. By the way, Gitbook is pretty amazing. I love how you just go in and use the app as normal. Use the website as normal, and then you can just go in and change stuff. So if state transition, there we go. Yes, and then we can just change it there, because we are not actually going to do anything. If state, and like, and you could argue that a downside to this is that, like, you might just go ahead and do the transition there and then write some more code, but you're not. It's not necessarily. The transition might have returned false, and then you keep writing some logic, and that is definitely like a downside to that. We could of course throw an error there. That would be possible, but and maybe that's a good idea. Initially I thought throwing an error there is like, well, the point is to just protect the logic. It's not necessarily an error that you're trying to transition into something that you shouldn't transition into. It's just like a side effect of the implementation. And it's just fine that the logic stops there. But if we were to like throw an error every time that happens, you might break something else. So, but I'm not sure about that. Like, again, all the implementations of state charts and state machines has been very theoretical. But now we're kind of getting into the dirt and actually using it, and focusing on making it as simple as possible. So we'll just have to keep exploring this. And by the way, again, the previous API, we would never have introduced that in Codesandbox, but this API, this would easily be introduced in Codesandbox, which is also kind of a reference for me if we're doing something right or not. Okay, let's save this and let's merge it. Let's see. Oh, hello, Eirik. Yeah, by the way, if you tuned in, the reason we're not coding anything is because there's a bug in Codesandbox where our types fills up, and I don't think Evis is at work yet, so we're not able to clean this up. Let's see if it suddenly works here. it won't work until we actually, oh, access denied. Something else. No, it won't work until we actually clean up this stuff. Cool. Yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant on going over to Slack during the live stream, in case we're talking about some internal stuff. But yeah, we can't do much about this. Okay, but you know, I'm not going to sit there and just take up your time. Like this will happen sometimes. The environment just doesn't work. Typically, it's like related to. Well, I guess this is our environment. I was going to say it's typically related to the environment, and it really is in this case. And it just happens sometimes. So I think we'll just stop there. I'll get this fixed as soon as possible, and then I guess on Monday we will refactor this thing, and we will continue on our journey. One comment I got from Johnny is that we were talking about Firebase and the concept of real time, where I was concerned that when you made updates, because we were streaming weekdays from the server, and then we were making updates to those weekdays in a transaction. And my concern was that if you were to like very quickly update the weekdays, and then you would get an update from the server that didn't include like the latest click you did or tap you did, you will kind of get this experience where you tap something, it's on, and suddenly it disappears because you get an update from the server, which is not up to date. And Johnny says that Firebase actually updates the local cache before it sends it to the server, which is really awesome because then you don't have to think about this stuff. What I find funny though is that I can't find a single piece of documentation on this. The only thing I could find was configure offline persistence, which is something you have to explicitly set up. But yeah, I would love to see the documentation on how Firebase updates its local cache synchronously before it actually sends the request to the database. Because it's a smart thing to do. Because this, as we talked about, this is really difficult to handle, real-time stuff. So yeah, if anyone is able to find that documentation, I would love to kind of not go through it, but at least mention it on the next stream. And yeah, so let's say that's okay for now. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk more on Monday.